ground running, and let's go. So, thank you for joining me this morning. For those who do not know, I am Coach Owen, and I'm one of the coaches here at the School of Calisthenics. So today's overarching theme is going to be getting you moving, joint articulation, helping to mobilize and strengthen your joints, ready for the day, ready for the weekend. And this is going to be fairly low impact, so don't worry about if you've only just woken up or not had your morning coffee or anything like that. Feel free to just help lubricate the joints and enjoy this sort of movement sequence. So we're going to look to go through a series of exercises, basically working from head all the way down to toe, moving the joints, getting that synovial fluid nice and warm, up to temperature, and then we're going to have a little play at the end. So we're going to have the mobilizing sequence. We're going to go through that 2 times, but don't worry, I'm going to be prefacing everything, and so you don't have to remember everything. And then from there, we'll have a little play at the end, calisthenics style. So I'm going to do these first exercises kneeling down, but if you want to stand up, feel free to do that as well, or move between the two, that's also fine. Right, so to start with, we're going to start with the neck. I'll show you a 3/4 view, or from the side. So from here, what I'm going to look to do, I'm going to take my chin and put it on my sternum. So we spend a lot of time on our phones, swiping, Instagramming. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my chin and pop it on my sternum and feel a stretch coming down these neck extensors. I'm going to hold it there. Notice how I'm not jutting my neck out. What I'm doing, I'm taking my chin, popping it straight onto my sternum, and then from here, I'm going to do the reverse. So look into the sky, or the ceiling in this case. I'm going to hold that for 5 seconds. 5, 4, I can feel the stretch coming through here. 3, 2, 1, good, back down. To help reset. Back to the top. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, good. 2 more of these. All the way down. That's it. Again, remember, not jutting out. I'm trying to keep my neck nice and compact. I'm not trying to exacerbate any sort of nerd neck. So just folding straight down. And then up to the top. We're going to do 1 more of these. 5, 4. It's quite hard to talk. 3, 2, 1. Good. All the way down. Reset. Up to the top. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So you notice how your head weighs quite a lot. As soon as you take it off axis, you can really feel that stretch coming through these flexors and extensors. Good. Right. So this time we're going to go left to right. So those of you who maybe have got like 2 monitors set up when they're working from home or in the office, you'll find yourself looking constantly, potentially over to one side. But now what we're going to try and do is look over our shoulder. Bear in mind, this might be the first time you've moved today. This might be your first sequence of movements. So just be kind to yourself and don't feel like you need to rip your neck off your shoulders. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to rotate to the left and making sure not to lift the opposite shoulder. So I'm going to look over the shoulder. Good. I'm going to go back to the center. All the way to the right. Remember, keeping shoulders nice and down. Good. Remember, you can be stood or sat for these. That's fine. Back to the start. Good. Again, shoulders nice and flat. I can feel a stretch coming through these levator scap and upper trap. Good. Center. Final one of these. Good. I'm trying to look over my shoulder. Again, now I'm getting a little bit more movement through that neck. Trying to look over that shoulder, but without hoiking that opposite shoulder up. Good, nice. So, what else? We are going to be doing now wrists. Just pop you down a little bit. So, some of these you'll see and some of you won't, but we're just going to do like a mini sequence now for the wrists. So, often when we get like elbow pain, it can be to do with like a shoulder or a wrist or something that's jumped up within this kinetic chain. Okay, so sometimes if we're getting elbow pain, it may not be the site of pain that is the issue. It might be something above or below the chain, like a kink in the hose. There might be something in that sequence that's causing you problems. So I'm going to do a wrist complex now. I'm going to start with wrists or fingertips facing forwards. So I'm going to be on here, on the back of it. So facing forwards, I'm going to lean in and back. Good. We're going to do 5 of these. Leaning forwards, nice and progressive. 4, and then we're going to hold the last one. 3, just leaning in. 2, last one. We're going to hold for 5 seconds. 5, 4. Feel that stretch coming through the wrist. 2, and 1. Good, nice. So now we started with the fingertips facing forwards. We're now going to rotate, so thumbs face out. Okay, so you see that? So we were facing forwards. Now we're going to rotate, so thumbs are facing out. Now I can already feel a stretch coming through that forearm. Okay, so from here we're going to do the opposite. We're going to lean or sit back onto your heels. 5. So thumbs are facing out this time. Flat to the hands. 4, 3. If you've got a lot of tightness, don't feel like your fingertips need to face all the way back. You can have them slightly turned out 45 degrees. 2. Last one. Remember, hold for 5 seconds. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Nice. So final one of these. What we're going to do, we're going to take the palms, and we're going to turn them all the way, so internally rotate, and now my thumbs are going to be facing out. You see that? So flat the palm, I'm going to turn them all the way in, and again, I'm not expecting you to go fully back. What you might want to do is do one arm and then the other one. That's absolutely fine, but you feel a really intense stretch coming through the rear delt, tricep. So I put one arm flat on the ground. We'll try and put the other one down as well. And I'm going to rock back into this. This is quite an intense one. Good. 5, 4, just sitting back onto the heels, nice and progressive. 3. So my palms are flat to the ground, the thumbs are facing outwards. 2. Hold for 5 seconds on the last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Give that a shake. You may not have done that one before. That's a favourite of mine. Really good one, that. Right. So we're going to have a look at this big long lat now. Again, when we're sort of in these shortened or tightened positions, this long lat, it connects into our pelvis. It makes a duck pull. So especially when we're trying to get overhead for things like handstands, if your lat is shortened or tight, then what that can really do is affect what's happening up and down the chain. So I'm just going to have a little look at loosening some of this fascia off now. So to start with, I'm going to put my hands on top of each other, and I'm still on this kneeling position. If you need to come out of this position at any point, please feel free to do so. So palms flat on the ground. I'm going to sit back into this position. I'm just going to rock to left and right. I'll show you one from the front. So hands out in front of me. You can either go shoulder width if you want to create a more intense stretch. Bring them closer in, because then that means the lat has to go through a further range. But whatever feels comfortable. Again, we're just moving and grooving to start with. We can always up-regulate everything on the next time around. So hands out in front, and then I'm going to sit back onto my heels. I can feel that stretch going through the lats. Nice deep breaths through the nose. 4, good. 3 more seconds. 3, 2, good. 1 more. Oh, especially those of you who do a lot of time pulling, if you're working on chin-ups, you can really feel the stretch. What we're going to do now, we're going to move over to one side. So we're going to wind up. So I'm going to I'm looking to stretch my right lat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my hands over to the left. So left arm down, right hand on the top, and then from here, I'm going to sit back and go into my right pocket. So left arm down first, right hand on the top, and I'm going to sit back towards my right hand side. I can really feel that stretch. If you want to move in and out of that position, just open it up, look under that armpit, back down. Good. 4 more seconds. 3, 2, good. Last one. And 1. Good. Nice. So we're going to do the same on this left hand lat now. So I'm going to move over to this right hand side. So left arm down. I'm going to put my right arm on the top, and then I'm going to sit back into this left pocket now. Really feel that stretch coming through this left lat. Good. Looking under that armpit. 5. Nasal breathing. 4. 3. Again, sink back onto heels. 2. Good. 1 more. Whew. Oh, that one feels good. And even within those, you might find that one lat felt considerably tighter than the other. Certainly did for me. Right, floor quad sweat, floor quad stretch. So what you may need is a yoga block or a book or a foam roller or something, or a cushion, just to put under one of your bum cheeks for this. So it's really quite an intense quad stretch now. So because we're working down the chain, started with the neck, went into the wrists, then we went into the lat, now quad. And anyone feel when you're in that lat stretch, I can actually feel it pulling on my pelvis. Because remember, lat comes all the way down here. Right, so I'm going to be on all on my quads. So I'm going to leave whichever foot comes out forwards. I'm going to put the yoga block under that leg. So notice how I've got my right leg out. So I've put the yoga block underneath that right bum cheek. And from here, tuck in left leg underneath. So we're going to be stretching this left leg. So I've got right leg outstretched. I've got yoga block under my right bum cheek. And then I'm going to sit back. I can feel a very deep stretch going into this quad. Now the quad is a really big, hefty muscle that requires quite a big amount of load to stretch. We're not trying to rip it off the bone, but from here I'm going to squeeze my glutes and just sit back. 5 seconds. Deep breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Nice. So take time, come out of that position. So I'm going to change sides now. So I'm going to leave my right leg out front. Right leg. So remember, yoga block goes underneath. Oh, wrong side. Left leg out front. Apologies. Left leg out front. Yoga block under left bum cheek. And from here, just sit back. Now notice how I'm trying to keep hips facing forwards. So I'm not taking my knee out to one side. So left leg out straight, right leg bent, yoga block under the left hip. I'm going to sit back into this position. This, squeezing the glute, feel that stretch coming through the quad, but also a little bit into hip flexor. Leaning back. 5, 4, 3, go 2 more, 2, and 1. Good, nice guys, nice deep quad stretch. When we go next time round, we're going to do both at the same time, if you feel ready for that. Good. Now, so what we're going to have a look at is this bridge, like a spinal extension exercise. So we're going to go onto our backs like this. I'm going to take my heels and bring them as close to my bum as possible. So you see that? I'm on my back, flat to the ground. Bring my heels as close to my bum as possible. Then from here, I'm going to grab hold of my ankles. Now, be very progressive with this. I'm not expecting you to go straight up into a bridge, but what we are looking to do is over time, load this, and this is really good if you want to get into a bridge, or I think in yoga they call it a wheel position. Any yogis out there, you'll be able to tell me. So line on my back, heels to bum, grab all your heels. Now from here, I'm going to anchor my scapula into the ground. I'm going to push my hips up. So from here, again, nice progressive. If I want to do more, bring my shoulders closer together. Squeeze the glutes. 5. Deep breath. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly down. Good. Whew. If you're in this position, I like to throw my hips left to right as well. Get a little bit of a click and a pop in there as well. So last one of these, and then we're going to go through again. Any questions, pop them in. But basically, after this exercise, that's 1 time round. So hips facing forwards, bring my heels to my bum. Again, they don't have to be super close. But I'm going to drop my hips to one side, back to the top, to the other side. Now, don't worry about counting these, just moving left to right. So my torso is facing you guys, pushing into the ground, palms flat. I'm just going to rock my hips left to right. That's just warming up that hip capsule, keeping everything nice and oiled. And again, you might find one side goes down a little bit easier than the other, so make a mental note. Maybe you need to spend a little bit of time, because what's happening is we're getting some internal and external rotation through this as well. Good. Well done, guys. That's 1 time round. Congrats. So grab some water. Zahida, good morning. The last wrist one was not pleasant. It's different, right? Any suggestions for round shoulder? By round shoulder, do you mean like hunched shoulder? If so, what you're looking to do, providing there's not any sort of like skeletal issue, what we're looking to do is strengthen the stuff at the back to pull you into this more open position. So internally rotated would suggest that you've got a tight delt and tight pec, potentially weak upper trap or rhomboids. So from here, you want to be strengthening the stuff at the back to pull that musculature back and out. Okay? Right, well done, guys. So that's 1 time round. What we're going to be doing now is going through again. Again, feel free to elevate anything. If you want to make it slightly harder, feel free to do so. Nice. Right. Make sure you got your water on hand. Cool. All right, guys. So who's ready for another round? This guy is. My shoulder automatically goes up when my head turns. Right, so if you're struggling to, I think that maybe when you're rotating your neck or lifting up and down. So it could be a tightness coming through scalenes or this upper trap. So try over time keeping that shoulder down as you rotate and open up. Yes, Kelly Bean. Let's go, shall we? So, second round of this. Remember, I'm going to do this seated, but you can do this standing as well. So, neck flexion. Remember, as I said before, keeping a nice tucked chin. We don't want to be jutting out and emphasizing poor position. So, chin tucked. We're going to go up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down. Feel that stretch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. This feels better already. 3 more of these. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the way down. All the way up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Right to center. So remember, next we're going to look over our left and right hand shoulders. So I'm going to start over to the right, looking over that right hand shoulder. Again, just moving left to right. I can feel a real stretch coming through here. Sternocleidomastoid. Again, trying to keep these shoulders down. What we're not trying to do is elevate through that trap. That would suggest that there's some tightness coming through this opposite side, which we're trying to avoid or at least loosen off. Good. We're going to do one more each side. Back to the start position. Back to the left. Good. Another one, if you want to try another time, you can imagine taking your ear to your shoulder. That's another sort of variation. Again, there's quite a lot of musculature around our necks, and we get good at what we repeatedly do. Remember that. So if you're spending a lot of time on your phones, your body is going to get better at that. Right, wrist complex now. So here, this one's for you. So fingers facing forwards. So in this position, fingers facing forwards, and we're going to lean in, sit back. Good. 5, 4. Again, each time go a little bit further. 3, 2. Remember, hold for 5 seconds on the last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So now we're going to rotate. So keep the palms flat. We're going to rotate so thumbs are facing out. Now we're going to reverse it. So this is like the soft, fleshy bit of your arm. We're going to sit back. So I can really feel a stretch coming through that right hand side. 5. Good. Sitting back. 4. Good. And again. 3. 2. Good. One more. Remember, hold for 5. 5, 4, 3, 2. Trying to keep those arms nice and straight. And 1. So what we're not trying to do is compromise the movement by going further, but with a bent arm. We're trying to keep that arm nice and straight the whole time. So remember that for this final one. So now fingertips face. So we're going to take my palm. I'm going to internally rotate. So here, internally rotate. So thumb is now pointing out. Fingertips facing me. Internally rotate. Good. 5. Again, arms straight, winding up that fascia. 4, 3, good. 2 more, guys. 2, good. Last one. Good. Sit back. Hold for 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So slowly come out of those. Give it a little shake if you want. Right. So remember how before we had one straight leg, and then we put the yoga block or towel or cushion underneath. So we had a straight leg, yoga block underneath that bum cheek, and then sit back onto this one. Now, if you want to try, what you can do is both legs at the same time. So remember, this is quite an intense stretch. So I'm going to be here, back to my feet on the floor. I'm going to sit back, and then I'm going to think about squeezing my glutes, and I'm going to lean further back. So I can use my hands to modulate how much weight I'm taking into my quads, but I find that this is a really nice deep stretch coming through the quads and the hip flexors. So I'm on both feet this time. Remember, if you want to do that previous one leg straight, yoga block under the straight leg. But from here, I'm going to sit back, squeeze the glutes, and then over time, you can go further back, feel that nice deep stretch coming through your quads. Again, I'm leaning onto my elbows. Just taking my time. 4, hips facing forwards, knees facing forwards. 3, 2 more. Last one. Good, nice. That's take time, pushing yourself up. That's a really nice deep stretch. Love that one. Right, into the lats now. These big old boys either side. Oh, any questions coming through? Hello. Right. So remember, lats this time. So if you want to do like we did before, arms straight out in front. So from here, I'm going to sit back. If I want to make it harder again, I can this time pop one hand on top of the other, and then moving in and out of this position. We'll spend 5 seconds here, or 5 breaths, should I say. 5, 4, sitting back, feel that stretch. 3, 2, One, good. Remember, like we did last time, we're going to move over to one side. We're going to try and stretch his left lat. So taking over to the right hand on top. And we're going to lean into that. Good. 5, 4. Again, move those knees back if you want to create a deeper stretch. 3. Looking under that armpit. 2. And 1. Good. Going to move over to the other side now. So I'm going to stretch this right lat. So I'm going to move it over to the left hand side. Basically, what we're trying to do is make the lat go through a greater range of motion. That's all this is. So trying to stretch this right lat. So I'm basically going to do that motion on the floor. So over to one side. Right hand down on the ground. Left hand on the top. Looking under that right armpit. I can feel the stretch coming through just above my hip. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1. Excellent. That's a really good one. Love that. So we've done neck, we've done wrist, we've done lat. I think I actually did those the other way around last time. I think we did the quad, the lat, and then the quad. Either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as we're doing it. All right. Remember, glute bridge this time. So I'm on the ground. So from here, heels nice and close to bum. I'm going to take a grip of my ankles. If you're struggling to get hold of your ankles, don't worry. What you can do is just do a glute bridge. So I'm squeezing the musculature through the posterior chain. So spinal erectors, glutes, feel it in your hamstring and quads. Squeeze. Okay, but for those of you who feel more confident, bring the heels as close as you can as your bum. As close to your bum as you can. I'm struggling with words today. So, heels nice and close to your bum. Grab hold of your ankles. I'm going to drive up. Okay? But if you really want to intensify that stretch, bring the shoulders underneath. We're going to squeeze. We're going to hold this position. Feel a deep stretch in the quads. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Slowly come down. If you want to make that harder, what you can do is elevate your heels onto something like a chair. So you're stretching your back into a greater range of motion. As I say, don't worry about that now. We're just keeping everything just quite fluid. So this position, hips facing forwards, palms flat to the ground. And I'm going to drop my knees over to one side, so like a 1990 stretch. But this time, I'm going to leave it down on the ground. I'm going to lean towards my back foot. So I'm opening up my oblique, twisting towards that back foot. Again, if that's too much, lean backwards. Okay, so last time we did it dynamic. This time, we're just going to add a little bit of a static hold. So I can feel a stretch on that inner leg. The adductor. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. If you can, bring your knees back to the top. Don't worry if you have to help your knees back to the center. That's fine. Cool. So we're going to do the other side. So like we did before, we did it dynamically. This time we're going to hold. So palms flat to the ground, shoulders facing forwards, hips facing forwards. We're going to rotate to one side so I can feel that stretch coming through that internal leg, the adductor, and then I'm going to lean towards that back foot so I can feel quite a deep stretch. Again, if this is too much for you, lean further back. If you want to intensify it, lean forwards. We're going to have 5 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So if you can, use your muscular power to pull yourself back to the center. If not, give yourself a little hand. Right, so that's like a morning movement primer. You can do that any time of the day. But what we're going to do now is a little bit of fun. So we're going to do a bit of a shoulder stand or a headstand, because this is a really good exercise. Say, for example, you want to get some movement through the whole kinetic chain, as this morning movement prep has been about. But maybe you don't want to go into like specific strength work this early in the morning. A headstand is really good because what that does, gets the blood going from your head, inverted, all the way down, washing through your whole body. There's a lot of benefits to that, but we won't go into that today. But basically what we're going to do is invert using the shoulder stand or headstand, connecting the full kinetic chain from head to toe, and it's a bit of fun as well. Especially those of you who are working on their frog stand or frog to handstand. That's something you can be working on. Right, Vishnu, I think we mentioned this. Hunch shoulder, anything for it. So have a look at your pec and your shoulder. What that would suggest to me is that you're tight through here, and what we need to do is loosen this off. So get a massage ball in here, and then free some of this off, and then you need to strengthen the stuff at the back. Okay. Right. So from here, we're going to be on the floor. And again, if you're not super confident, this is really progressive. So don't feel like you need to go boom straight into this. Boom. So I'm going to take my hands on the floor. So you can either work holding together like this, or what we're going to do, we're going to make it a bit more frog stand specific. So we're going to be placing pressure not on the forehead, but on the top of the head here. So not the forehead, top of the head. Just move that back a little bit here. Drop that down. Right. So placing the pressure top of the head. If you want to use a cushion or something, you can do. But I prefer without, just so I can feel the ground. So in this position, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to make that triangle like we do when we do like a pike push-up. You can have a triangle. So heads on the ground, palms go flat. So we're making a triangle. Palm, palm, top of the head. Here. So I'm pushing it into the ground. Feet straight. Now it's up to you whether, if you feel confident, you can jump onto your knees, or more progressively, head on the ground, palms down. I'm going to walk my feet in, put one knee onto one arm, one knee onto the other arm. Okay, and that's all we're going to do to start with. So those two again. So pressure on the top of the head, making the triangle, palm, palm, head like this. So feet up, and then we can either walk the feet close, one knee on, push it into the ground, other knee on, or you can just, if you're confident, pop onto like that. Does that make sense? So two ways of doing it, and this is like the tripod position, that initial position that we need to set up. So I'm active in that position, pushing it into the ground. So when we're in this position, again, don't feel like you have to do this, but this is a really fun exercise for you to play around with. So notice how we're creating a really strong position, palm, palm, forehead, pushing into the ground. Again, working those shoulders, winding them up, creating a really strong base. And especially if you're working on like your handstand journey, this is like a really good bridging movement or movement pattern that will take you from a frog stand, connecting into that Stevenson chair, into your handstand. Okay, right, let's have another go, shall we? So head on the ground, palms flat. So I'm going to straighten my legs, straight, walking the feet in. Again, whether you want to go one knee on, other knee on, or if you want to pop like that. And in this position, we're going to hold 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Again, slowly come down. One knee down, other knee down. Excellent, right? So I know some of you might be enjoying that stage, and that's absolutely cool. So that's something for you to enjoy. Now, what we can do is start to think about creating a longer lever length. So calisthenics, what we need to do is earn that right to progress. So we want to progressively start creating a longer chain. Now we can do that with this headstand by slowly articulating the hips, working the posterior chain, switch the glutes, boom, squeeze the glutes, and also feel it through this back, okay? So I'll show you what you're after. If you guys feel confident enough, then feel free to do it along with me. If not, I'll just give you the cues that I'm thinking about as we go through. Sue O'Brien, you legend. Good to have you on board. Again, if you want, just go through that mobility sequence again, or save this for a later date. Don't feel like you need to go out of your comfort zone to do this, but for those of you who are willing and able, let's have a go, shall we? So, headstand. Pressure, top of the head. We're going to make a 3-point triangle. So, weight on the top of the head. Push it into the ground. Knees, I'm going to straighten my knees. Now from here, I'm quite confident, so I can pop onto here. Now from here, I'm going to take my knees off. I'm going to squeeze my glutes. So notice how I'm in this shortened position. So from my knees, I'm going to squeeze my glutes and take my hips off. Now if that feels good, I can extend one leg. And then as soon as I feel like I can't control it, as soon as I shorten that lever length again, I'm a lot more confident in my control strategies. So did you see that? If you start to get a bit of a wobble, so I'm here, one leg up, or too wobbly, shorten that lever length and come back to my elbows. But for those of you legends who want a real sort of challenge, let's go for it, shall we? Let's go for that full headstand. Now what we don't want to do, boom, is body slam over the top. Okay, so I'm really gripping the ground like we do when we're in a handstand or a frog stand, gripping the ground, and I'm managing my balance all the way up. At any point, I can fold up, create a smaller position, make everything okay again. Right, this is just a little bit of play at the end of the session. Right, so let's go, shall we? Head on the ground, palms flat, again, gripping the ground. I'm not passive, I'm not just hanging out. I'm really working in this position. I can feel it in my triceps. So, head on the ground, palms flat, straighten the legs, walking the feet in, one knee on, other knee on. From here, I'm going to grip the ground. I'm going to take one knee off, other knee off, and then from here, gripping the ground, slowly weighting the triceps, squeezing my glutes, keeping everything nice and tight from my head to my toes. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. As soon as I want to come back down, hold the knees, back to my elbows, back to the start. Who managed one of those? Who managed it? So a lovely bit of fun, that. Really nice and progressive. Handstand progression. We're not doing handstands today, but there is a virtual classroom live that we're going to be going through. So you can book onto that. We're going to go specifically through handstands. So those of you asking, well done. Those of you who tried it. Sahida, well done. Sally, CP11, one day, yes. Let us know how you're getting on. Yes, Salmon68, managed to do a frog stand. That is awesome. Now, those of you, that's a really good point. Notice how when I'm in that headstand, here, I'm in headstand, go up, up. Now, when I come back down, I can go into that frog stand. Nearly lost it then. So this position here, from head, looks a lot like a frog stand. Yeah? So notice how these movements interlink and combine, and they share like a common denominator. Boom, Sue, well done. Is it normal to get a middle split in a day? That's epic. Wish I could get a middle split in a day. Not sure if it's a lack of arm or core strength. I can't get my hips to stay up. It could be a number of things, Kelly. Send me a message. But what I'd be suggesting is, it's your confidence, push it into the ground. So your body won't go where it doesn't feel confident. So if you're not creating a really, really strong foundation, and then that connection, getting the hip up, I mean, that's not to be underestimated. It takes a lot of like posterior chain activation and confidence to rotate the hips, like when we're doing that frog to handstand transition. This is just like a nice way of sort of getting into that. But don't worry about this. Just remember where you are, and you can progressively work through there. So, nice little bit of fun, bit of a challenge to end mobility with. Right, so hopefully that makes sense. Remember, we worked on the neck, the wrists, lats, quads, and then down into the posterior chain and hips. And then we sort of combine all of that into that headstand, which is like a really nice, fun exercise. But remember, if you were trying to just go, if you just like woke up out of bed and you tried to do a frog stand or handstand, then it asks quite a lot of your body. So what we're trying to do is prime everything, get everything nice and warm, get everything moving, and then asking the body, not forcing it, asking the body to move into these positions. So the movement sequence that we did, some of those were taken from Bodyweight Basics, some of those were taken from the movement specialist, Ollie Frost, within the virtual classroom. So some really nice things that you can be getting on with. It's £5 at the minute to jump on board with that, so 50% off. And there's some really exciting things coming towards the end of the month. So I want to say thank you all so much for joining me, Coach Owen, at Owen B Jackson. I'll have a look at Instagram in a minute, check I've answered all those questions. But please feel free to send me any messages if you don't feel like I've answered them specifically. I'm happy to answer them. So at Owen B Jackson. Thank you all so much for joining on. YouTube, meme generator, Sue. Thank you guys so much. Hope you have an awesome day. Remember, stay well, stay strong, and look after this body of ours. Class dismissed. Boom. Boom.